Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Guinea's ousted former President Alpha Conde is no longer allowed to leave the country after authorities moved to prosecute him for violence that broke out over his successful bid for a third term in office. Also, a community in northern Sudan finally has access to a local health centre after a 20-year wait. A new one's finally reopened after the last one was destroyed in the war in Darfur. And film lovers in Paris get a window into the world of Nigerian cinema. After a 3-year pause because of the pandemic, the Nollywood Film Festival prepares to open its doors to the French public once again, this time for its 9th edition. We speak to one of the actresses starring in the films on offer. But first, judges in Guinea have ordered ousted former President Alpha Condé to stay in the country after a decision to prosecute him for fatal violence that broke out over his successful but disputed bid for a third term. The 84-year-old was ousted in a military coup last September after mounting discontent over constitutional changes he introduced in 2020 that allowed him to successfully run for re-election. Now, he and 26 of his former officials are accused of several charges, including complicity in murder, abduction and torture.
We are very happy, especially as President Alpha Condé stubbornly tried to force a third mandate at the cost of Guinean lives. May he be brought before the court and that justice be done for the victims.
In my house, in my family, we lost 2 people, including my son, who was 19 years old. Now what we want is for those who committed these crimes to be brought to justice, both Alpha Condé, who sent them, and the perpetrators. We want all of them to be tried.
Well, Karim Kamara joins us now with more. Karim, so tell us a bit more about what exactly the charges are against Condé and what this means for him.
Well, among the charges, we have murder, and we have something like looting, we have torture, and we have conspiracy and of murder, and some other serious charges against humanity. So those are serious charges that would give, I think, a long-term jail sentence to any individual that is being charged with such a heavy charges by any judiciary. So it's like now the Alpha Condé and the 26 of his men are having a very serious nightmare, and in wherever they may be.
And we're hearing that he's now been ordered to stay in the country and that some of his assets have been seized. Is this a sign of what more is likely to come for him?
Oh yes, this shows that the ongoing business is very serious for him and with his cohort. So the Guinean judiciary is very determined to make sure that justice is rendered and to those who claim to have suffered in the hands of Alpha Condé and his group. But we have to wait and see and what really will happen later. And FNDC, one of the interest pressure groups that went on with campaign against the cessation bid by President Alpha Condé, has today again submitted another list of proofs to the state prosecutor. And therefore, they are also threatening that if anything like politics and them involved in the affairs, so they say they will take the matter to the ICC.
And what about the other 26 officials named? How was that list put together and who's on it?
Well, those lists were put together after a while because in the first list, even as we speak, and we are some top military officers, like even the junta leader, Mamadi Doumbouya. His name was boldly written on the list. NDC and with some of his groups. So, but after he seized power, he called upon FNDC for a meeting. When they went to that meeting, and the following day, his name was and his groups, they had their names omitted from the list. So he was among those officers that were named, whose names were on the list. Now we have only like 3, the chief of the former police inspector general of police, and Bafoyi, and also the former head of the National Gendarmerie, General Balde, and also the former head of investigations, and General Fabu Kamara. Only those people, before there we are 4 or 5 of them, including Mamadi Doumbouya, but now he's had his names and then removed from that list.
Thanks very much. Karim Kamara there speaking to us from Guinea. Look now at some news in brief. Togo's President Faure Gnassingbe has agreed to act as a mediator for Mali in discussions with the international community. Mali's faced a crisis at home and diplomatically since the military seized power in 2020. There have been growing tensions between the junta and international partners. West African bloc ECOWAS has imposed sanctions and an asset freeze, and Mali's ended a defence agreement with France amidst a breakdown in the relations. The head of the UN said that Africa is underrepresented at most international institutions and should have a permanent presence on the UN Security Council. As he wrapped up a tour of West Africa in Nigeria, Antonio Guterres said that although he supports an African country joining the US, the UK, Russia, France and China as a permanent Security Council member, it's up to member states to tackle, as he doesn't have the authority to do so alone. Somalia has set May 15th as the date for long-delayed presidential elections. The election is over a year behind schedule, and the country's come under international pressure to hold the vote. A €380 million aid package from the International Monetary Fund will automatically expire if a new administration isn't in place by mid-May. Current leader, President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed's term officially ended in February 2021. Now, a community in Sudan is finally able to access medical care after a new clinic was opened. The village had not had a health centre for almost 20 years after their previous one was destroyed by the war in Darfur. Camille Nedlek tells us more.
A moment of communal joy for a vital service. These residents in northern Sudan celebrated the opening of a new health centre. They had been forced to travel long distances to access medical care, and many women would give birth at their local midwife's house.
The people feel cared for, they receive adequate services, and medicine is available in the centre, and the place is comfortable.
This village has been without a medical centre since 2004, after its dispensary was destroyed in the conflict between Khartoum and separatists. Residents fled, but since 2018, little by little, some 8,000 people have returned to the area after having spent years living in displacement camps. The World Health Organization held a lengthy consultation period to better understand locals' needs before opening the clinic.
When the community is being informed and taking an informed decision about the kind of health services that they are asking or they need. So they are not only just recipient of the services, but they are part of the planning and the design and later on even in the protection of these health services.
Sudan is among some 115 countries that are part of a partnership with the WHO, which aims to provide universal health coverage. More than 900 million people have benefited from the programme.
Well, after a 3-year break because of the pandemic, a festival celebrating up-and-coming Nigerian film here in the City of Lights is back. Nollywood Week returns for its 9th edition. Spotlighting a selection of cinematic offerings that organisers say that they hope will not only showcase the talent from the world's second largest movie industry, but also create a cultural bridge over which Francophone audiences are invited to cross. Well, one of the actresses in town for the event is Meg Utanwa. She stars in the film Loving Rona, which is, you might be surprised to hear, a romantic comedy. She joins me now. Meg, thanks so much for taking the time to come in, because I understand tonight's actually opening night.
Yes.
Oh, we've stolen you away.
Earlier. No, it's fine. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, well, first of all, I mean, we are coming out of a pandemic. Mm-hmm. Your film that's on at Nollywood Week is called Loving Rona.
Yes.
What's it about? And is there any connection?
No, not at all. It's funny. I know, right? Rona, you hear Rona and you think COVID. No, please.
Okay, good. Just to clarify that from the beginning.
Loving Rona is a romantic comedy. Mm-hmm. It follows the story of a young lady, a young, ambitious and educated lady who is a hard worker. You know, she, on the surface, she has this, perfect picture of, what her life should be. She paints this image of like, I have everything under control. There's people that have, they appear to have it put together in their life, but in reality,
Monica.
I know. In reality, is not exactly, the reality is not the case for her. So we follow, the life that she puts outside for people to see, for her fans to see, and what it actually is behind closed doors. Yes, it's pretty interesting. Basically, how she balances her love life, her personal life, and her career.
Well, talking about balancing careers, you actually ended up as an actress after coming through a pretty indirect process. Tell us a bit about your journey on that front.
Yes, I know. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, so I used to work at the African Development Bank. I know it's crazy. It sounds like a crazy move, but that was what I wanted, actually. When I graduated, I wanted to just go international. I wanted to get a good education first. So I went on to get a master's degree. And then I interned at the African Development Bank, and I got called back, and I worked there for a while. And I thought it got to a point where, I thought I had enough experience, like the level of exposure that I needed at the time. I thought I got it. And for me, it was time to move to the next phase of my career, which was filmmaking. I'd always
so you were
wanted...
making films, or were you? Do you mean as an actor?
As an actor, yeah. I was also as a producer, because I also ventured into storytelling myself. I'm also a producer, but I'm known, back home as an actor. So when I felt the time was right, it was easy to move, because that was the plan all along. I'd always wanted to be an actor.
And you've jumped in with both feet, because you've gone pretty far.
Yes.
For your craft. I think a couple of years ago, you even, had to put on a substantial amount of weight to portray a character.
Yes.
Was that a big ask for you, or is that just part of, you do what you have to do?
Yes, as an actor, it's part of the process. You give your all. For me, that's why I'm here. If I'm not able to give my 100% on any project, then I shouldn't even be on there in the first place. So I look for, if it's not, the more challenging a project is, the more interested I am in the project. So yeah, for me, it was an absolute pleasure. And the director didn't insist on that. We could have used prosthetics or anything, because of the story on postpartum depression. I chose to put on the weight because I wanted it to be believable, and it worked because, based on the feedback we've gotten, it's been incredible. Like, I'm really happy, and I'm fulfilled. The story resonates with a lot of people.
And so you're in Paris now for this Nigerian Film Festival.
Yes.
What do you think that French-speaking audiences, who is it for? Is it for French-speaking audiences, or the Nigerian diaspora, or who do you expect to come and attend?
Nollywood Week is for everybody, and it's such an amazing opportunity for us, for the Nigerian film industry, because yes, a lot of Africans, Anglophone, Francophone, they get to watch Nollywood films anyway, but it gives us, I'm here for this. I get the opportunity to meet with the fans, to, interact with them, and also to get live reactions to our stories and, get feedback from them. It just puts us on this platform where we're able to interact with people. And it's interesting because Nollywood Week right now, they're beginning to showcase films from other African countries, which I think it's an interesting step to follow, because now we can actually we can have a Pan-African industry, a Pan-African film industry, which I think is something very interesting for the continent. Yeah, so I'm really glad to be here, and I want to use this opportunity to just, reach out to everybody out there. If you're even French, the movies are subtitled in French, so it doesn't matter if you're French, you're English speaking.
So you heard it here.
Come to the festival.
You heard it from Meg. If you are in Paris between the 5th and the 8th of May,
yes,
head down to the Harlequin Cinema for a taste of Nigerian film for Nollywood Week. That is, though, unfortunately, all we have time for Eye on Africa. Meg, thanks so much for coming in to see us. Thanks very much for joining us. Do so again if you can. Till then, take care.
For nearly half a century, Cyprus has been cut in two. In the north, the Turkish Cypriot government, and in the south, the Republic of Cyprus, Greek-speaking and Christian. Varosha, a former seaside resort and a symbol of the island's division, became a ghost town when it was abandoned by its inhabitants following the Turkish invasion in 1974. In 2019, Turkey reopened Varosha to tourists and to former residents. Long deprived of their right to return, they are now demanding the return of their property.
C'est moi qui me bats pour l'instant, mais je sais pas combien d'années je peux encore me battre.
Watch Varosha Revisited on France 24 and France24.com.